And one is that the goals that you have envisioned for yourself are sufficiently motivating so that you're inclined to work voluntarily or even enthusiastic about it. That would be best. And so that the direction that those goals provide protects you from undue directionless anxiety. And so you have to negotiate with yourself to see if what you're aiming at satisfies you and fills you with hope. But then you don't have to do this alone. You know, corporations have boards so that people can discuss vision and strategy. And so I would say that it sounds to me like part of what you need is some people around you to bounce your ideas of the future and your strategies against so that you can stress test them and address your doubts. So, number one, negotiate with yourself to see if you believe that your plan gives you direction and hope and constrains direction sufficiently so you're not too stressed, and test that against the world and against the judgments of other people, understanding as well that even if you have a good plan, there's going to be some variability that's temperamentally determined in whether you're still anxious. You know, if you're higher in trait neuroticism, you're going to be more variable in your response to your goals and more prone to doubt. That's also partly why you bring other people on board to further your investigation. I would also say you could give some thought to doing the future authoring program at selfauthoring.com.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, and just why were you going to say that?
Well, I mean, how do you know if you're on the right path? What's your path? So
Right.
if you have a goal, like maybe this job isn't fulfilling something, but it's making you money while you pursue a larger goal. And maybe that's something you have to do for 3 or 5 years while you do something else. Or maybe there's opportunity in the job that you're not seeing, but you need an aim.
Yeah.
You taught me that. So where are you going? And then see if what you're doing is leading to that.
Right. Okay. So, you know, is where you're going good?
Yeah.
Is it leading away from somewhere bad? Those are two initial questions, and that's how the future authoring is structured. But then this is a way of assessing your aim. Well, what should your aim encompass? Well, we tried to break this down in the future authoring program. You want a meaningful life. Well, let's differentiate that. Well, do you have a plan for marriage? Do you have a plan for children? Do you have a plan to educate yourself? Do you have some sense of how you would or could take care of yourself mentally and physically? How you could be of service to your community? You know, that could be volunteering, or it could be political, at all the different levels of political involvement that exist.
What if your job is also good for the community? Can you combine those?
Then good.
Okay.
You know, good.
Two birds, one stone.
It's just another place where meaning can be derived, right? And mentoring people is good for that, for example. It's extremely fulfilling for people. How are you going to protect yourself against temptation, drug and alcohol abuse, and sexual misbehavior? Like, the advantage to the future authoring program is that it provides a differentiated vision. And so this is what I would recommend to the gentleman who asked the question. It's like, go do that and do a bad job. Just sketch it out. Do a good first draft, you know, because you're not going to get it perfect and you're going to learn along the way. You can substitute a better plan if you come up with one. Right? Now, I wouldn't do that every week, you know, and that's the danger of someone who might be emotionally unstable, high in neuroticism, or really high in openness, or worse, both, you know. But make the best plan you can. Discuss it with other people, implement it. Then you'll learn. Then you can take what you learn and maybe every 4 months, every 6 months, every year, you can return to your plan and see if it needs some tweaking or some foundation work. It's a very good idea to move forward with a bad plan. It's a very good idea to do that compared to not moving forward and waiting. Problem with waiting is you get disenchanted and discouraged and you don't learn anything. If you implement a plan that isn't perfect, you'll learn exactly why it isn't perfect as you implement it, and then you'll be able to make a better plan. And that is how cybernetic self-correction works. That's how complex systems that rely on feedback true their aim across time. They start out with a fuzzy goal. This is even how large language models are trained. The aim is fuzzy to begin with, and then it tightens as it iterates. That's the definition of learning. And so with regard to the plan you have now, if you're not fully confident in it, I'll flesh it out more, as I said, talk to other people about it, but then also understand that that's your plan, unless you have a better one. And so stick to it, right? And if you stick to it and you learn as a consequence of your persistence, you will gather the information that will enable you to make a better plan, for sure. New opportunities will come your way. And sometimes that'll mean a radical shift when it's time, and that's fine. But you're not going to do that without a bad plan even. And so if you don't think your plan is perfect, well, that doesn't mean that you're making a mistake. It's a tight balance to manage, because you need to be able to pivot when circumstances have genuinely changed. But you don't want to upset yourself too badly by becoming a new person every 15 minutes, which is the curse of someone who's very high in openness.
And not very high in conscientiousness.
Well, yes, right. Yep.
That was good. I've been super surprised. Every year I've been doing, I like New Year's resolutions and things, but so once a year I'll make a plan and I shoot pretty high, because you always taught me to shoot high, who knows what you're capable of. So I shoot way further than I think I can get. And I'm like, okay, this is my plan for 2025. And then I don't really look at it. So it's different than future authoring, which is really detailed and it's really helpful. But I also grew up with you as a dad, so I have that going for me. But I've been so surprised because every year I'll look at my goals again.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you know what? I got through 80% of these, way higher than I was expecting. And it's because when you do make a plan, it's like your vision changes.
Well, it does
and you
change.
can see these open doors.
You look at where you're headed. This is literally how perception works. You look at where you're headed. Okay, you need to be headed somewhere. That also works in abstraction. Okay, now that you're headed somewhere, the world divides itself into pathways forward, right? Things that help you along your way, things that get in your way, and irrelevant things. Most things are irrelevant once you've specified a pathway. That also controls anxiety, right? There's lots of things you don't have to look at when you're going that way.
Definitely.
Okay. Things that help you, things that get in your way. That works socially. Friends and foes. So pathways, tools, obstacles, friends, foes, and then agents of magical transformation. And agents of magical transformation change your aim. Right. And that's the role they play in fiction. For example, wizards and magical beings change the game. And that's the world. That's how you see the world. That's how your vision works. That's how you hear things. That's how the world presents itself to you. So no goal, no doorways. No goal, no pathway. Right. Yeah.
Or random horrible doorways.
Yeah. Sure.
That lead upside down.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was helpful.
If you hear a baby screaming, she's hungry. But how does one distinguish between a relationship that requires personal growth and sacrifice to thrive and one that is fundamentally misaligned with one's deeper values and should be let go?
Yeah,
well, if that person is going through that and also just had a baby, I would say wait a little bit, because you're in baby mode right now and it's pure chaos for at least a year.
Yeah. Fair.
If that's the case.
It's very hard to deal with a partner that lies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's now, if they're lying and that's improving.
I don't know.
Well, look, people don't start out 100% trustworthy. You know, the more lies there are, the harder it is by a lot. But you can see a trajectory of improvement. That's really important. If you're can the person negotiate? Do they negotiate in good faith? And do they implement the consequences of the negotiation? You know, you can take a relationship that's got quite a number of kinks in it and straighten it out across time if people will commit to the process and tell you the truth. If it's a downhill slope continually, no improvement whatsoever, then you're playing a game that you probably can't win.
I think that's a pretty good answer. I think the lying part is key too. Like there's nothing more important than that, right? Otherwise, you can't sort out a problem. You'd be like, can we fix it? Sure, we could fix it. If that's a lie,